Hello, Tria. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Suzanne Hart here, and it is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is time for the Fit, Fab, and Fulfill Mindset Mastery session. Today, we are talking about the Leading with Character book study. We're preparing for it. And so we're going to be talking about habits today. We are going to be talking about a formula that looks at how do you set yourself up for success. So as you join, please let me know you are here. So what I'm going to ask you to do is one, let us know where you're joining us from. So put your name, where you're from, what you do. Because this is a networking session and this is your opportunity to promote your business, promote yourself, promote what you do, and let anyone that joins find out and learn what you do, so that they can reach out to you if you have a product or a service that they indeed need. And I'm also talking to you if you're joining us in the recording and you're listening after the fact. Do go and comment, put where you're from, what you do in the comment section, so that people can check you out. So I see Charia's already, she's put book study in the comment section. And why? Because that is the word of the day. And the word of the day is book study, because we are inviting you out to join us for the Leading with Character book study. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a moment. Other thing I'm going to ask you to do as you join is to bless a life. We are going to be talking about habits today. We are going to be talking about master habits. We're going to be talking about the fact that most successful people have a lot of habits in common. So hello, Pauline. Thank you joining book study. I love it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to bless a life. And this is why we do it. Knowledge is powerful, and knowledge is more powerful if we don't keep it to ourselves, if we share it and bless other people. So if you know someone who you believe is really committed to their own growth, their development, their own success, and this conversation is going to be of value to them, bless them and pass on the live, share it in a group, share it on someone's page. Just begin to share it and move the knowledge along, if you will. So the invitation for today is to put book study in the comments section. Why would you want to do that? Because on September 10th, I will be beginning the Leading with Character complimentary free, yes, the word is free, 4-week book study. This is going to be an opportunity for you to spend some time with me and engage in a conversation with a small group of other individuals. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at habits. We're going to be taking a deep dive and looking at habits and the mastery of habits. Why? Because our success is not just built in our knowledge and our skills and our experience. Our success is built in how we show up in the world, the habits that create our character. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. So if you want to join us on this book study and engage in a conversation, what's different from a live is it's going to be an open line Zoom. So you'll be able to chat with me. You'll be able to interact with the other participants. We are going to have a transformational conversation. It is going to be just exquisite. I am so excited for this. And we're going to go back, because how I wrote the Leading with Character book was I actually got on a conference call, invited my friends to show up, and we talked about 20 habits. Yes, we did. And I picked their brain, asked them questions, got some information. So we're going to go back to that model, but we're going to be starting to talk about like the habits that are already in the book. Maybe I'll get some new perspectives, and maybe it'll inspire another version of the book. You never know. So if this is for you and you are excited, definitely type book study in the comment section. So let me just check in and see who is here and who is joining us. I do see Taria, I do see Pauline, I do see some other people just quietly watching, not necessarily commenting, and I totally get that. So yes, we're gonna be getting started in the conversation in a minute. Now, what we're going to talk about today is mastering the habits of highly successful business leaders. And we're going to talk about why that is so important and how it changes lives. I'm also going to give you a cute little formula that really kind of drives home the power of who you are in the world, right? And the power of habits, and how just shifting one habit, maybe two habits, can change everything. It can change the trajectory of your business and the trajectory of your life. So most definitely. Hello, Cindy. Welcome, welcome. So what is a habit? A habit is your automatic way of being, right? It is what you do when you are not conscious, what you do when you are not thinking. So let me give you a great example. And we think of habits as, just specific things, but we habitually do some things like drive from one location to another. So today I went and got my nails done. So shout out to Miss Jen Watson, who's been doing my nails for like 12 years. And Jen just changed locations, and she's now at a different spa. And so what I did was I hopped in my car, preoccupied, just finished a call, just got enough time to get there on time, drive down, about to walk in when I remembered her text that let me know that she had changed location, right? And so I jumped back in my car while she's texting me, and I said, I went to the wrong place. She's laughing, I'm laughing, because that is my automatic way of being. I was on autopilot. Although I knew somewhere in my subconscious that or in my conscious that I was supposed to go to a new location, my automatic preoccupied self went to the old location. That's what we habitually do. Right? And sometimes our habits serve us and they move us in the direction we want to go. And sometimes our habits don't. And today's going to be a conversation about examining those habits that may not serve you. The other thing is sometimes your habits may have short-term impact, right? Going to the wrong place, it's a one-time thing. I was able to go and redirect myself, if you will, and get back to where I was just a few minutes late, not catastrophically late. However, you and I may have habits that we do, and we're doing them over and over and over again, right? And it's moving us in the wrong direction. They say that insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. That's also the definition for poor habits, right? Is executing the same habit, having the same automatic way of being, and expecting a different result. So we're really gonna dive into that today. So I want to talk to you about your character. So your character, get this, it's a sum total, and someone may want to write this down in the comments section. Your character is a sum total of your habits executed over time. So what I'm saying is how you're known in the world, the way people know you is a sum of all your habits executed over time, right? So I want you to think about this. Have you ever met someone who is habitually late? They're always late. And when you think of them, you equate late with them. Now, what they may not think about is that if you had a big project and it was time sensitive, even if they were qualified, their character might determine whether or not you would actually hire them for that position, because you know this is time sensitive. It has to be done within a certain time. Now, this is a great example of how, a habit can actually derail your business. A habit can derail opportunity, right? So it's things like that. Now, one of the things that we don't really think about is we can also have habits that are emotional, right? How many of you might be habitually fearful? Right? You don't like change, and when change comes up, your habit, your automatic way of being, you're habitually fearful. Now you just might think that this is who you are, but our habits are actually who we are. It creates our character, right? You might be risk adverse, right? So it really is really beginning to look at what are the things that we do on the regular automatically that we think that is just who I am. But just who you are, that statement might be causing you access to business, to friendships, to money, to opportunity, because you are caught in this is the way I am, right? Hashtag shared. I love it. Okay, so let's really look at this for a moment. So The beautiful thing about looking at habits in and of itself is a habit is changeable, right? A habit can actually be rewired. Think about that for a moment. You and I can change our habits and we can rewire. But it takes time. And they say it takes 90 days to create a habit. I actually believe it takes as long as it takes. And depending on how long the habit that you're attempting to change has been hardwired into you, is as long as it may take. So sometimes it may take 90 days, but other times it may take longer. And what I mean by that is, yes, it may take 90 days for you to actually begin to do something and feel a little comfortable with it. But if you equate stress, if you add stress and life circumstances to the situation, oftentimes that's when people go back to their automatic way of being. So it does actually take a little bit more than 90 days, sometimes a lot more than 90 days to actually shift that habit. Now, this is the other thing. You might shift a habit and be chucking along, and then something happens in life and your habit changes, right? Your habit, you're like, I'm back to my old habits. Why? Because your situation changed. You became uncomfortable. Maybe you became stressed. And now you go back to your go-to, your automatic way of being. Yes, that's what it is. But this is the beauty of what I'm getting to, is if you have poor areas in an area of your life, right? Poor habits in an area of your life, rather. All it is creating some focus, looking at what habits aren't working and shifting them. So I really want to drive this home because, when we talk about health and wellness, and, that's one of my things, and we talk about people going on crazy diets, people doing all sorts of crazy things to lose weight, popping pills, doing all these things, stomachs being stapled, all those really scary things. What they don't take into account is that's a drastic means to get somewhere quick. But the piece that's not talked about and looked at is they actually haven't changed their automatic way of being. They haven't addressed the habits, the mindset that is actually creating this thing called weight gain in the first place. So they've created a band-aid, a short-term effect. And that's why oftentimes you'll see people they'll lose weight, whatever way means they did it quickly, not addressing the habits that created the situation in the first place, the negative habits, right? The habits that aren't serving them. And then they go back after they've lost the weight to what they're accustomed, their automatic way, and nothing has really changed. So they begin to gain the weight. So really what we're looking at is, if you want long-term change that serves you, change that allows you to adopt a lifestyle in any area of your life, it is really examining what you do on a daily basis habitually and replacing it with something different. And notice I'm saying replacing it, because this is the other thing. I can't take a habit away from you and leave a vacuum. If I don't give you something that works in the space that we've removed something, you will go back more than likely to the habit that didn't work, or you'll adopt another habit that's probably equally as not functional, not beneficial. So when we say examine the habit, it's really important to replace it with something. They say the universe doesn't like a vacuum because it will fill it with something. And if you're not clear on what habit you're filling it with, you may not like the habit that's being filled, and more than likely the habit that was removed and not examined and not replaced will be the habit that will come back. So I want to talk. So let's see what people are saying. What do you guys get taken away? Hello, Lisa Dawn. How are you? Great to see you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about habits and replacing habits. So I'm going to share a story with you, and this was one from when I was really young. I was probably about 13 or 14. And for those who don't know me, I ran track for a number of years at a pretty high level, and I ran for a private track club. And our coach's name was Luke. And if a few of my past runner friend Wendy Simons and Wendy Johnson are watching, Luke was great. Luke was tough. And so Luke came out as a scout to our high school, and he was looking for new runners. And he spotted a bunch of girls, and Sue Durrell was one of them as well. And he asked us if we wanted to join his club, but he asked us in a very clear way because he was a very committed coach, and he asked us if we wanted to be great runners, if we wanted to do really, really well. And of course, we were young. I was probably 13, 14, and I was like, absolutely, I want to be the best of the best. But then he asked the question again, do you want to be like the best runners? And it was like, yeah. And then he asked the question a third time. And I was like, 13, kind of cocky. And I was like, what is wrong with this man? Why is he asking this? And once we said yes, he said, this is what's going to happen. You are going to have the habits, the behaviors, the mindset of great runners. Now I'm paraphrasing, but he said you have to do what runners do. You have to think what a great runner thinks. You have to have the habits of a great runner. You got to eat like they eat. You got to train like they train. You have to embody what those people do. And I want to emphasize this because the reason I'm talking about this is because great leaders, successful people actually have pretty well the exact same habits. There's actually 10 of them. And when you join me on the Leading with Character book study, we're going to dive into some of those habits a lot deeper, so that you can actually understand what they are. Imagine knowing the habits of successful people. What do they actually do? What's their trained way of being? Because I don't think for many of them it's their automatic. I think it's a trained and committed way of being, right? So he asked us this question, and he said that we would have to become that. And then he told us what we needed to do. Remember, because if you want change to happen, you have to be really explicit, really clear. So he gave us some things that we needed to do. And so what he was doing, he was instilling new habits into these young girls so that we could begin to perform at a higher level. Now, as I got older, I really needed to reflect on what Luke did. I really needed to reflect on why he took 4 little girls that were good runners and made girls that actually broke the Canadian 4x1 indoor record the following year, right? And so our ability to run and the speed, everything improved. Our stride improved, our technique improved, how we passed the baton improved. But it wasn't by accident. It was because this man went to work on the character of these young girls. And he built the character of young, tenacious, committed runners. Right? I want you guys to get that. And when I say he built the character, remember your character is the sum total of your habits expressed over time. So he did something really, really interesting. He created success. So what I'm going to give you today, and if you're joining today and you're listening to this live, this is like money. This could be life-changing for some of you. I'm going to give you my success formula because it really drives home the story. So the formula that I have for success is habits times attitude times skills times relationship. I want you to write this, someone to type that in the comment section for me. Habits times attitude times skills times relationship equals success. Winning situations, right? So let's look at this from the context of the story I'm going to tell you. All right. So the first thing I want to look at, I love it. I love the definition. Thank you. So the first thing I want to look at is the most common one is skills, right? And the reason I want to look at skills is when we go to school and we get an education, they're providing us with knowledge and skills and techniques and all these different things. And so most professions where you go to work, the first thing they're going to look at is, do you have the skills of the profession? And if you don't, they're going to train you, and they're going to train you up in the skills. And in our society, there's a lot of time spent on skills and knowledge, right? Skills and knowledge, skills and knowledge. Do you have a certificate? Do you have a degree? Do you have these skills? Do you have these experiences? A lot of time spent there. So one of the first things when we're talking about skills in relation to my story, Luke took a lot of time to teach us the technique of great runners, the skills of great runners, our stride, how to hold the baton, how to pass the baton. Lots of time just drilling in great technique into us. Thank you, right? So he spent time doing that. So we became very skilled. Now, this is what I really want you to get. He could have given us all the skills in the world, but if he didn't train here, our mindset, right, we would never have won and achieved the success that we had. But not only did he teach us the technique and the skills, he went to work on here. He went to work on our mindset. He went to work on stretching us. He went to work on having us become tenacious. And you know, and when I thought about it, I was like, he created tenacity in us. And we didn't come in the door that way. We came in with raw talent. And you know, the question I asked was IQ and talent, you know, enough to create success? And I will say to you, it's enough to get you so far, but it's not enough to create massive results. So he took 4 talented girls, and you can take someone with a very high IQ and a lot of skills, and if you just look at that alone, many people will not get the success they want, because talent alone and IQ, like knowledge, will not do it. Right? So what Luke did was he went to work in 2 other areas. And the first one was habits. Okay? And he began to drill some good habits into us. Right? He taught us the habit of integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, because he gave us things to do. And he had a high expectation that we were going to do it. And if we didn't, we'd end up having to do other stuff at practice that we didn't particularly want to do. And all my sports coaches had that attitude. Do what I asked you to do. Have a high level of integrity. Get to the track, get to the field, get to the court on time. So he instilled integrity with us. He instilled commitment in us, right? Because we trained all winter and never stepped on a track. Can you imagine? All winter we trained, we lifted weights, we ran hills, we did all sorts of things, but we were track and field runners. We loved the track. We did not step on a track. So he made sure that we were committed to the journey, right? That's a habit, the habit of commitment. He made sure that we were persistent. And I remember the day he took us to the bottom of a mountain and he said, our practice today is we're going to run to the top. This was a mountain. It wasn't a hill. It wasn't the massive mountain, but it was a mountain. And we were like, what? Is he joking? But he taught us endurance. He taught us persistence. And in doing that, he was building the character by instilling in us these great habits. And you know, what I began to realize is a lot of the habits that I have in me today, my integrity, my attitude, my commitment, my drive, my willingness to persist, were developed in those years with 2 coaches, Luke and Mr. Don Caldwell, right? Because they expected it of us. They demanded a high level. So they drilled in us habits that we didn't know. That way, I didn't know they were actually doing it, but they're habits that have served me throughout my time. So, and in doing so, they began to form the character of an elite performer, of an elite athlete, right? And it was just all the things that they did. Get up in the morning and do your first run. I'm not gonna be there running with you. Do it on your own. So there was trust. There was, I'm gonna be my word. I'm gonna be a person of integrity. I'm gonna persist. So there was all these habits that were really being drilled into us. So, and it began to form our character. Now remember, the formula is character or habits times attitude times skills times relationship, right? So he was beginning to develop our character, right? Or you could say that the character is what creates the success. But then there was another thing that he also went to work on. He went to work on our attitude, right? And this was the thing. And every coach I've had, in any sport I've had, they have gone to work on every player's attitude. Because you can't come to the court, you can't come to the field, you can't come to anywhere with a negative attitude. You can't come with a loser attitude. You can't come with a victim attitude, because coaches will either bench you or work it out of you, right? And I remember that, you know, when we would get to certain places, I remember another time he brought us to this old pasture field and he told us we were going to run our intervals in the cow field, uneven and all messed up. And our attitude sucked. And he made us run longer, right? And so he was teaching us that when you're faced with obstacles, when you're faced with things that are difficult, you are required to manage your energy, manage how you show up. If you're not feeling well, you shift that. So in his, in his training, he would teach us that. Even when we were, getting out of our starting blocks and we were nervous, he'd say, you got to shake off that nervousness, and he'd actually teach us how to do that. So character, all right, habits, skills, attitude, right? And so that was what he was shaping in terms of building these successful runners. But then there was one other thing that he did, and the last part is relationship, right? And he made sure that we surrounded ourselves with great athletes, and we began to develop the relationship. Now, I was really young, but what he would do is he would take me to track meets where I could get in relationship with better top athletes. So, I remember sitting on the field talking to a young Carl Lewis at the time, a young Angela Taylor, all these people that were my idols, but I got to watch them and I got to surround myself with them. And I also had a relationship with Luke, and I had a relationship with the other runners. So the environment that he created for me, and the environment that he created for the runners, was an environment of where we were going, what we were required to produce. And it was that formula coming together that created our success. Now, why am I telling you this? Because the underpinning of all of that is your habits, right? My ability to create relationships and maintain relationships sits on the foundation of my habits. My ability to manage my attitude sits on the foundation of my habits, my automatic way of being, right? My ability to master some skills sits on the foundation called my habits. And my ability to just be aware of who I'm being and how I'm showing up in the world is me examining my habits. This is important because, as I said at the beginning of this live, we spend a lot of time talking about skills and getting experience and getting new certificates and getting more and more and more. But what we don't spend time on is how we're showing up in the world. What's my attitude? What's my habits like? How am I in relationship with people? Are my habits and attitude messing up potential relationships? So we don't spend time looking at our character, our automatic way of being. So if this intrigues you, what we'll be talking about in the Leading with Character book study is exactly this. We are going to give you an opportunity to examine how you show up day in, day out, your automatic way of being. My goal, my desire, my commitment is to give you enough information that you'll begin to say, you know what, I need to make a shift here. I need to make a change here. I need to stop behaving this way and actually begin to behave in another manner. What we're going to be doing is actually giving you actions that go with habit, so that when you say I'm committed, you'll know exactly what commitment looks like. When you say I'm persistent, you'll know exactly what persistent looks like. We're going to talk about habits that help you win in different areas of your lives. So if this is something you're excited about, if you think this is going to serve you, if you see value here today, definitely type book study in the comment section. Definitely, join us. It is going to be an amazing conversation. I am so excited. I'm fascinated by habits because it is so subtle. It is so subtle. And in my fascination with habits, I realize that almost everything that we do has the potential to be a habit, whether that be getting pissed off. People fly off the cuff really quickly. That's what they habitually do. Whether it's playing the victim, that's what you habitually do. Whether it's being late, whether it's being on time, whether it's always being your word, those are habits. Those are what you habitually do. But fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the situation, they create how you're known in the world. So my goal is for you to choose how you're known and to shift some places and spaces where you'd like to be known differently. So if this is for you and this makes sense, type book study in the comment section, and I will be so excited to be having you as part of this discussion. All right. So what are you guys taking away? All right. Hello. Oh my God, Stacy, it's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So everyone, I want you to start moving your fingers and give me some comments. I want to hear what you're taking away and what's one thing that you're going to do differently from this particular Facebook Live. Right? How are you going to master your mindset so you can master your life? What habit might you change, or just what you took away? I'm looking forward. Tria says, isn't it beautiful that we get to choose? We absolutely do. And you know, one of the things as you do this work, Tria, you'll begin to realize that many of us don't actually choose how we show up. How we're showing up is automatic, or it's a reaction to the environment, the stimulus in the spaces around us. We react to people, we react to events, we react to circumstances, and we're not a choice. And oftentimes we're dragging our past into our present and reacting, or we're busy worrying about the future and reacting and not actually living for the now. This allows you to powerfully choose who you're going to be today in the now. And in every circumstance that comes before you, you get to choose. Absolutely. I love it. Thank you. Who else? What are your comments? What are you taking away? I am looking to see. Let me see. All right. Okay, so we are at probably close to the bottom of the hour. That's right. So my time with you has come to a close. I want to thank you for joining me. My name is Suzanne Hart. If you've joined late or if you're listening to the replay, and I am the Mindset Mastery Mentor, and I am looking forward to seeing you at the book study starting September 10th to October 1st. And if you're interested, just type book study in the comments section and I will see you there. I will be back next week with none other than game changer Lethea Owen, market domination specialist, Miss Lethea Owens. And this conversation is going to be off the chain, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Lisa Dawson is saying, noticing my new habits and if they are actually serving me. So it's a good notice. You know, it's really important that we take that inventory because they're moving us forward or they're moving us in the wrong direction. If you want to continue this conversation, Lisa, type book study in the comment section because we will help you analyze and look at a whole bunch of habits. And it would be fun to have you in the conversation and contributing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Have a fantastic week. I will be back here next week with my guest, Lethea Owens. And we're going to be talking about being bolder. She believes that you were created for greatness. Think about that. You were created for greatness. So we're going to be having that conversation, and it kind of goes really well with the habit conversation because it really is about knowing that inside of you is everything you need to achieve what you want. You were created for greatness. So join us with Miss Lethea Owens. I'll see you next week. Blessings and have a fantastic week. Take care.